Today we have Valerie Dorsey Allen from University of Penn. We also have Loren Jenkins, who just finished her master's degree with Temple University. Also joining us is Simra Ansar, who is a Temple University student who is going to school for public health. We also have Executive Director of Babashi, Mrs. Sabrina Tate. Today is going to be a wonderful segment. We're going to be talking about Women's Month. So things that define us as a woman, things that make up women duties and things that we, are prideful about, right? So today we're going to be diving right into what defines you as a woman, or what defines us as women?
Me. I define me as a woman. Not society, not my kids, not my job, not my label, me. I define me as a woman.
Beyond that, and I really agree with that, because I think we all have to define ourselves. But I think that one of the things that defines me as a woman is the responsibility and the care and the love that I provide and take.
Okay, that's a really good answer.
Just to add on that, I would say women are really strong. We are very resilient and we can pick ourselves back up pretty much from anything, even if we do it as a pack or independently.
Absolutely. So what would you say can keep women unified in the workplace? What are some of the, united fronts that you put up with some of the other coworkers to keep, respect grounded and to make sure that each woman within your scope can feel supported or, feel embraced? What does that look like for you all?
So I work at University of Pennsylvania, which is, if you look at numbers, it's a large number of white men that most of the women of color are working with, right? So we have an organization called Women of Color at Penn, which was put together 35 years ago specifically to support, uplift, and engage women. But within that organization, what you find is a group of sisters from all races and nationalities who are there for each other, who support each other, who you can go into their office and say, this just happened to me. I'm not crazy, right? And they're going to let you know that your experiences and your feelings are valid and that they are going to be there with you to walk you through whatever you need to go through. So I think that in a workplace, you have to have that. You have to find that support, and you have to be that support to the next sister.
And I think even touching on that, I'm a student, so my working experience has been, working at thrift stores or babysitting. So I think finding that aspect of community when you are at a store that might not, when you're even necessarily in an institution that doesn't have support groups like that. So finding that safe space where you can rely on other women to be like, hey, what's up? This sucks. And then being like, yeah, I get you and I hear you and I'm here for you. So I agree.
I think that transparency and allowing yourself to be vulnerable to your sisters is important. So when you say, I allow myself to be broken, I allow myself to be hurt, I allow myself to fail in front of you, it's so that they can learn how not to step in that same pothole. Mm-hmm. It's so they know how to support other sisters. It's so they know their strength. Okay, you don't do that well, but I do. So let's work as a team in order to, get to the goal. So, I mean, in the workplace, in your friendships, in your relationships, in your family, you figure out who makes the macaroni and cheese well, right? Then you do that because I don't do that so well, right? But I got the greens. So that for me is what sisterhood looks like, both in the workplace and in any relationship.
Definitely well said. What would you say, in your opinion, is the difference between a woman's experience in the workplace and a male's experience in the workplace? And I can kind of elaborate on that. I'm just going to dive right on in, right? I just think that we all know that men in this society make more or are respected more to a certain degree. We could be doing the same job, and I could be feeding him my information, but you don't want to hear from me. You prefer to hear from him. So, like, that is something that is alive, thumping, and well, right? How do you deal with some of these differences in the workplace? And again, what would you say is the difference between a woman's experience and a male's experience in the workplace?
I mean, for me personally, I don't deal with it. Once I already sense that there's a level of, if we're not on the same playing field or in the same level of respect, then that's my cue to go. You know, for me, I'm still finding my way in my career path, so I don't need to settle. And I don't need to settle for certain, perimeters when I know what I bring to the table in the workforce. So
I'm going to challenge that answer. What would you say to a young lady that doesn't have a master's degree, that hasn't probably finished high school yet, but is working at her McDonald's job, and she shows up every day? She might be being harassed. She might have to get on 2 or 3 buses to get there. So what kind of advice would you tell her to navigate her specific workplace, whereas though she may not be able to just leave? Or going to work is probably getting her away from a worse situation at home. So what kind of advice would you give a younger Portia?
gotta have a plan. That's with
Okay.
anything. Um, Even with me just saying I'm not settling for it, I still have to have a plan. I gotta have a plan of where I'm gonna go. And even if you don't have that plan right then and there, or if you can't leave, create it for yourself. Just because you don't have a college degree or just because you don't have a high school diploma, the options now in modern day, the workforce is too big for you to have to feel like you have to stay here or you have to do this. Your future is in your hands. So if you don't have the help, try to get help. It's easier said than done. But we have mentorship programs. We have youth centers that can help, individuals that's in those predicaments out. So trying to utilize your resources. And just even going back to being vulnerable, like you may have to be vulnerable in the workplace. There may have to be a person that in your workplace is going to have to help you, that you may have to let them know, like, hey, I'm going through something at home, or I'm going through something here, like, can you help me? And those all take steps. But to have to settle, no.
That is well said, Miss Jenkins.
So Babashi was led by a male for 25 years. And he was very well respected within the organization and within the city. And he did an awesome job building a really strong foundation for the organization. And so, me stepping into the position of leadership after such a long tenure of having a male, I will say that, I was embraced because there were many women who worked for the organization for some years who were excited to have a woman lead the organization. But I will also say I was challenged. Some of the things that I know that my predecessor would say, this is what it is, he didn't get resistance with. So the way that I dealt with it was having a plan. Not just to say this is what it is, but this is why it is, giving explanation. Again, allowing myself to be vulnerable to, look, you might not agree with what I say, but you're going to be a part of how this unfolds, how it manifests itself. You're going to understand why. You're going to see the vision so that we can all buy into it and be on the same page. And that's not to say that it goes away, because it doesn't. Not just at Babashi, but in life, when you're a leader and people look to you, especially as a Black woman, they're like, oh, if she raises her voice, if she's loud, she's angry. And the B word, this is how she shows up. This is how she commands the room. No, I command the room because I command respect. And I didn't get my position because somebody gave it to me. I earned it. And so sitting in that seat and understanding that there is no imposter syndrome, this is where I was assigned to be and I'm ordained to be. That's
where you
what I'm going
belong.
to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
And your words are just so powerful. I know that for our individuals that are listening, that was a very powerful statement, to own it. When you belong there, you belong there. It's not wrong to say it. It's not wrong to repeat it. It's not wrong to embrace it.
One of the things that we know is that still women make about 6.5 to 65 to 70 cents to every dollar that men make, right? One of the things that I say to people who are coming into positions is that knowledge is king. So when you know, for example, that this position is paying this amount of money, when you go in asking for and expecting that. And don't discount yourself, because I think in general, women won't negotiate the way that men will for salary, for benefits. We kind of take what's given. And so it's real important to know what it is you should be expecting, because, and here is where it shows up different. When a woman goes in, there is an offer that is made that was different oftentimes from what the offer would be if you were a man. And so you have to know that going in, and you have to be able to go in and say, I'm ordained to be here, and you're going to pay me what I'm worth to be here.
Why do you think that is? Because I know a lot, like I'm sitting around some really, really educated women, right? And I know that at some point in your, occupational journey that you've been shortchanged. So to turn that question back on to you guys, what made you stay in the event that that was your situation? Because I know that some of our viewers, they have children. So I know they're probably sitting at home like, well, I couldn't do that. And I wish I could have, but, so I'm asking you guys, like, what made you stay in that situation where you know that you could have gotten paid more, or that you should have spoken up, or that you should have not taken that particular job at that agency or at that facility?
I was speaking from experience.
Okay.
Because in the position that I'm in, I was told what the salary should be. I wasn't confident enough in myself to go in and ask for that. And they offered me something that was lower than I had been told that it was worth. But because I didn't feel it in my soul enough to say, oh no, this is what I want, I negotiated just a little bit. Just a little bit. And as soon as I'm just going to make up some numbers. Let's see, they offered me $60,000, and somebody said you should ask for 75,000. And I said, well, I was really hoping, to make like 63,000 without hesitation. The man that was offering me the position turned to his secretary and said, change that offer letter to that number. And when that happened, I said to myself, I missed an opportunity, because if it was that easy, then I should have asked for that other number. But a lot of times we don't go in with the confidence of knowing we're here because we are ordained. I love that word. We are designed to be here. We are worthy. We are enough. You're not an imposter. You're bringing skills and knowledge that deserve to be paid for. It might be changing now, but I know when I was growing up, we weren't taught to be that bold and that forward. I see something different when I look at my daughter, because she's a lot bolder than I am. But I think that we have to give that to all of our sisters, is that when you go in knowing that you are prepared, you are worthy, you are enough, and you have to have the confidence to get what it is that you came for, or they won't give it to you.
And stay focused.
Mhm.
When you go into that interview, they said I'm hiring, so I don't care who else is in there. If the job is yours and you say it's yours, it's yours. So know that and be confident that even if you get 100 no's, somebody's going to say yes, because you're that good, especially if you know what you're talking about, right? Don't let a college degree, high school diploma is standard, but don't even let that discourage you from where you need to be or achieving some of your educational journeys.
I think like the biggest thing that I heard from you is knowing. And I'm in college right now, and I'm in my last semester, and a big part of my final semester is doing an internship. So we got prepped the semester before, being like, this is how you handle a professional environment, this is how you're supposed to speak. And never once was I ever given any conversation about the fact that I can demand more and I can demand a safe space and I can demand to feel okay and expect more. I feel like my entire academic career has just been based off of surviving and making myself reach the bare minimum constantly. So I think it's really interesting. But I think with social media and constantly seeing other people, other women my age, share their experience, I'm able to learn through them and also learn through conversations like this. But yeah, I still think it's interesting how these academic institutions have still yet, while enforcing all of this professional conversation into our courses, they still have yet to, especially for young women of color, there's no support whatsoever when it comes to that. So I think that's really interesting.
This is why we have these conversations, because it's important that we share this information, that we teach others that are going to come after us. What is it like, so that they don't fall into those potholes that we might have fallen into. So absolutely, definitely.
So I have a saying, and everyone who works with me knows. I have a saying called "ouch, but amen." Right.
Mhm.
So this just hit me, right? Ouch. Because every position that I've gotten, I accepted what they offered me. I did not negotiate. And amen, I'm worth more and should demand more going forward. And I think part of it has to do with the backdrop of how we're taught, what we're taught our worth is. It's like you're lucky to be in the
Yes.
room.
Boom.
You know,
I'm so happy you said
look, you lucky. We made an offer to you and you should be grateful, and this is what you get, and that's it. And so we have to change the narrative in our own heads about what our worth is. Like, I'm not lucky. You know,
You're lucky.
Yeah, you're lucky. You are blessed with this. No, but really, like, even in terms of my education, like, I always went the extra mile because I felt like I had to. I would sit next to a male who, had white skin and the privilege of being male. And he didn't have to have degree after degree after degree after degree in order to sit in the same seat. So, yeah, you pricked something in me because I was like, yeah, I didn't. I just took what I was offered. Like, I got it, as opposed to I got it, but this is what I want.
This is what I want, and this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to go after in the future.
So one of the things that you asked was, why do you stay, and what happens that you stay, right? So one of the things is that you hear these kind of things, you hear these conversations, you talk to other people, and for me, what I did was began to ask for more in various situations. It's a time for the evaluation, the annual evaluation, and the increases. I need an increase. You know, I'm doing X, Y, and Z to make your program look good, to make you money, and I need an increase. And again, it goes back to having the confidence. Well, you at the top, so I don't know if you could do that, but the rest of us who are reporting
I'll
to
write my
other
own
people,
check. There'd be a few more zeros if I did.
can say, I want to make more. What can I do to earn more? Or even to say, I've been looking and this position is paying this amount every place else, and I'm below that. So I need to get an increase.
But this is why these conversations are important. My parents always taught me that once I said it, you can't act like you ain't hear it. So once we say this, and once it gets the thousands of views, because, people got jobs, people are bosses, people are supervisors. Once they hear it, they can't act like they never heard it. They can't act like that 5 educated, beautiful women are sitting here saying, no, this is what it is. You don't have to believe me because it's my experience, but we all don't know each other and we have the similar to almost same experiences. So what my grandmother always taught me is everyone's not going to tell you the same lie, right? it's impossible if she says that this is what's going on with her and you don't want to believe that, but Loren over here saying the same thing and they don't know each other from a can of paint, well, then something's going on. And I'm glad that we're spiking that conversation. But to lighten the room a little bit, what are some things in the workplace that, that you do to maintain peace and to recuperate, right? Because self-care is important. So even though we got, the traumas of just being a woman in the workplace and not getting paid as much, and then being a woman of color, so I can't even sneeze or sweat too much without someone thinking I'm angry or did something wrong. However, what are some of the things that you do to recuperate from all of that? Because we are smart, so we do know how to, to do the work, but how do we pull ourselves back together? What are some tips that you guys have for the community watching?
So I think in the workplace, allowing for creativity, most people who work for Babashi love what they do. It's a labor of love. Like you're not making millions of dollars, and you're doing really, really tough work. And so I try to encourage folks to do what they do with creativity. Bring your personality to it. People are endeared to people who are just real. And so do what you do in a real way. And that brings on the therapeutic component. I try to be creative too. And so when I have a brainchild in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh, we should do that. I go into the office. I'm like, all right, all hands on deck. We got something to talk about. How can we make this a reality? That's restorative in the workplace for me.
Free Girl Fridays.
Ooh, say that again.
Yeah, what's that?
Free Girl Fridays. On Fridays, we go out. We don't talk business. We don't talk shop. We don't talk about anything that's depressing. It's all upbeat, fun, laughter, and a good time.
I will
usually a
definitely try to start my own Free Girl Fridays. I love, a Friday at that. It's the end of the week. Some things that I do, and I'm just going to keep it flat out. I might get on the phone and just talk to my family. Hearing about how good their day is going or just hearing about something other than mine's helps. Go out to eat. I might, take a lunch and go sit at a good place. If you don't have the luxury to do that, that's fine too. You can always read a book. You can always look out the window. Funny thing is when you're watching other people do stuff, not doing stuff, it can kind of just calm you down, right? But that doesn't always work. So sometimes I take my day home, I'm not perfect and I don't think any of us are, and that's not the goal. But just having these small techniques is what keep us grounded to get up, to go to what put us in this in the first place the next day, right? And that's always an amazing thing. That's something that men have, but women embrace. It's just what you do, right? You never think about it any past that day that is happening, right? So you got to get up to go take care of business. You are the nurturer. You are the woman. Just moving along. What are some of the things in the workplace that can make you feel more equal or more, on a better playing field as your male counterpart?
Knowledge is power. So she just said that, knowing what, if you're talking about your salary, knowing what the going rate is for that position in this city and across this arena, having that knowledge and saying, listen, this is what I'm coming with. It's data. It's black and white. I'm presenting this to you because this is where I need to be. That evens up the playing field a little bit. It's hard to, go against what the facts are.
I think also having mentors and having sponsors. And those are not necessarily people that look like you. I mean, it's good to have them, but the higher up you get, the less people that look like you that you're going to find. So you got to be able to network with others. And so to have allies who are going to support you and a cosign on what you're bringing also helps to balance things out.